Imagine you are walking across cracked, sun-baked earth, somewhere in the ancient Middle East. No cities, no roads, just open land, dry wind, and the sound of your own footsteps. Then you stop. Something dark is pushing through the ground. Thick, slow, like the earth itself is bleeding. You crouch down. It doesn't smell like water. It doesn't smell like anything you've encountered before. Sharp, heavy, almost alive. You touch it. It clings to your fingers and won't let go. Then, somehow, a spark reaches it, and it burns. Not briefly, not weakly. It burns with a strange, committed fury that stops you completely. You don't have a word for what this is. You only have one question. What do you do with it? The assumption we all carry. Most people don't realize this. We think oil belongs to the modern world. Industrial revolution, drilling rigs, the 1800s. We've locked it into a very specific historical moment, as if the earth only started offering it up when we invented the technology to take it. But that's wrong. The ground has been bleeding oil for millions of years. Long before factories. Long before anyone knew what petroleum even was. And that raises a question that most of us have never asked. What did ancient humans do when they found it? The earth was already offering it. Across the ancient world, the ground was already leaking. In what is now Iraq and Iran, crude oil seeped naturally through cracks in the earth, pooling in dark, viscous puddles that never evaporated. In Azerbaijan, entire hillsides wept bitumen. In California, massive tar pits trapped animals and preserved them for thousands of years. These weren't rare accidents. They were permanent features of the landscape, predictable, recurring, impossible to miss. And ancient people didn't miss them. Archaeological evidence reveals something striking. Human settlements clustered near these seeps with remarkable consistency. Not randomly scattered across the land, but deliberately positioned near where the earth was offering something useful. The Sumerians built near the bitumen fields. Settlements in the Caucasus grew up around tar springs. This wasn't coincidence. This was recognition. Ancient humans had mapped the usefulness of these places long before they understood what lay beneath the surface. They simply knew. Here, the ground gives. And if the ground gives, we should be here to receive it. What ancient humans actually did with it. Once they had it, ancient humans didn't waste time wondering. They experimented. They tested. They discovered, through nothing but observation and trial, what this strange substance could actually do. The first realization was practical. It sealed. Mesopotamian builders, working around 6,000 years ago, understood that bitumen could waterproof. They coated reed boats with it, making them buoyant and durable in ways that wood alone never could. They sealed storage baskets, containers for water and grain. They waterproofed the foundations of structures that needed to survive the region's brutal floods. It was a technology born not from chemistry, but from necessity. They saw a problem, water destroying their creations, and the earth had already provided the answer. But then came something more sophisticated. They realized bitumen could bind. It became the ancient world's adhesive. Hunters hafted arrowheads to wooden shafts using bitumen paste, creating weapons that held together through impact. Broken pottery was repaired with it. Tools were reinforced. The substance that emerged from the ground became the connective tissue holding their material world together. And then came something unexpected. They discovered it healed. Archaeological evidence shows bitumen was applied to skin conditions, used to seal wounds, even incorporated into preservative compounds for the dead. Mummies from certain regions bear traces of bitumen-based treatments, applied not out of superstition, but out of empirical observation that it worked. Without any understanding of antimicrobial properties, they had intuited something real. Perhaps most tellingly, it held spiritual weight. Fire that came from the earth itself, that burned without explanation, without anyone striking flint. This wasn't just useful, it was sacred. Ritual fires were maintained at natural oil seeps across multiple cultures, suggesting that ancient peoples understood something we've nearly forgotten. The earth offers, and humans respond. The evidence beneath our feet. The archaeology doesn't speculate. Reed boats recovered from ancient Mesopotamian sites still bear bitumen coating after millennia. In the Dead Sea region, bitumen was traded like currency, valuable enough that merchants transported it across distances, enough that it appeared in economic records. But here's where the story becomes genuinely striking. Neanderthals were doing this too. Sites across Europe show tools hafted with natural tar approximately 200,000 years ago. Not Homo sapiens, Neanderthals. A species we once assumed was cognitively primitive had already mastered the collection and application of bitumen as adhesive. They were processing the Earth's offerings with intention and precision. This wasn't accident. This was technology. The implication is quiet but profound. The relationship between humans and oil doesn't begin with the Industrial Revolution. It doesn't even begin with modern humans. It reaches back into deep time, into a cognitive inheritance so ancient we've almost forgotten it was ever there. The Escalation. This changes the story of civilization. This reframes everything we think we know about the modern world. The Industrial Revolution didn't introduce oil to human civilization. It inherited a relationship that was already 200,000 years old. What changed wasn't discovery. It was scale, speed, consequence. A Neanderthal hafting a tool with tar, a Mesopotamian sealing a boat, a modern engineer drilling 2 miles into the earth. These aren't separate stories. They're chapters of the same story. One continuous human instinct, stretching across millennia. The instinct to recognize what the earth offers, and the compulsion to use it. We didn't invent our dependence on oil, we scaled it. We industrialized an appetite that was always there, dormant in our DNA, waiting for the technology that would let us satisfy it completely. Understanding this changes how we see ourselves. We're not modern innovators who suddenly discovered oil. We're inheritors of an ancient hunger, now awakened at a scale our ancestors could never have imagined. We didn't discover oil, we remembered it. That ancient human crouching over the dark seep, touching it for the first time, feeling it cling to their skin. They weren't discovering something new. They were recognizing something the earth had always been offering. And we never stopped. Every oil rig, every refinery, every engine, burning fossil fuel millions of times per second. These are just the amplified echo of that first moment of recognition. We didn't invent our relationship with oil. We remembered it. We found the old instinct buried in our species' memory and gave it industrial form. The question isn't whether we should have discovered oil. The question is what we do now that we've scaled an ancient appetite to planetary consequence. That Neanderthal tool, that Mesopotamian boat, that modern civilization, they're all the same human story. The story of a species that sees what the earth offers and cannot help but reach for it. The only difference now is that we finally understand what we're reaching for and what it costs.